the Patriots to come away with their first victory of the season Sunday in Minnesota against the Vikings, they're going to need to excel, really, in three key areas. And two of them were huge weaknesses last week against the Dolphins. Let's start with one of them right away, the offensive line. They were atrocious against Miami. They're going up against a Minnesota front that recorded 5 sacks against the Rams quarterbacks last week. I mean, there's no better way to test a perceived weakness than to go against another difficult task in a consecutive week.
Well, whatever the configuration is, whether they're going to be substituting as much as they did last week, I don't know. But they're going to have to contain Everson Griffin, Linval Joseph. I mean, it's not Cameron Wake. It's not Olivier Vernon like it was the week before. But Minnesota does have a decent front. They have decent pass rushers. They're going to bring it. They saw what Miami did. Mike Zimmer, the head coach, if he sees a weakness, he's going to attack it. So they're going to test the Patriots' offensive line, and they better be ready.
Absolutely. It starts with the tackles. Nate Solder and Sebastian Vollmer have to be a whole lot better. The pair allowed 3 sacks against the Dolphins. They allowed Brady to get hit 5 additional times. They have to be a whole lot sturdier, a whole lot better to help out the interior guys. I think you can manage the interior linemen with certain aspects and blocking schemes, but those outside guys, a lot of times are on an island, and it's about winning a one-on-one battle. Solder and Vollmer didn't do it enough against Miami. Everson Griffin's got to be really excited for this week. And number 2, we'll flip to the other side. The defensive line. You're talking about not winning one-on-one battles. My goodness, that happened far too often in the run game. And now, I mean, once again, a great test. You can't hide from a weakness. And this week, it's Adrian Peterson, who's got to be looking at that Miami tape and saw what Noshawn Moreno and Lamar Miller did to the Patriots and say, oh, baby.
Talk about licking his chops. I'll tell you, slashed and gashed. I mean, it's like the Patriots were defenseless against Noshawn Moreno. They were the last time they played Noshawn Moreno, who carved him up for over 200 yards. They've got to stop the bleeding. Adrian Peterson is arguably the best back in the NFL. Whether they load up the box and go with less defensive backs, hey, that's why you have Darrelle Revis here for. You got to stop the run. You've got to make Matt Castle try and beat you. However they do it, they cannot let Adrian Peterson run wild.
There are some personnel things they can do, I think, to increase their size in the front 7. I mean, starting with move Chandler Jones outside. Maybe Chris Jones makes his debut on Sunday. I'm not sure, but I mean, Chris Jones isn't the savior. Silver Salinga is having a tough time with that club on his hand, and there's that guy got beat more often than we're used to seeing, but that club's not coming off this week, so he's got to manage away. Dante Hightower, I thought, played really well on the edge last week, but Dante Hightower is a better run defender, better suited to be in the interior than Jamie Collins, so maybe flip-flop those guys around. But, I mean, again, Joe Villano, the guy got beat every time they ran at Joe Villano, he got thrown out of the pile, and that puts the linebackers in a tough spot. And I mean, over and over and over again, 6 yards, 6 yards, 6 yards. When you're allowing 6 yards almost every single time they're running the ball, you've got no chance. You can't pass rush, you can't do anything. So they have to it comes down to winning battles, having better technique, and fighting off those blocks, because it was just way too easy for the Dolphins. Number 3 is sort of a combo deal, and it circles back to the protection, too. I mean, Brady's got to have some time for this all to work, but you want to see more out of the guys who are catching the ball. Gronkowski, we know he's going through some stuff. He clearly is not 100% yet, but you can find ways to get him the ball more. Shane Vereen, get him the ball a little bit more. Aaron Dobson was held out of week 1. I think you can get him into the action after the outside guys struggled a little bit. But there are guys, Edelman, who wasn't able to really get off the ground in the second half. So there are ways, I think, that they can find more ways for their talented playmakers to go out and make some plays.
Yeah, it's like they had success in the first half of that game doing what they usually do. You know, the short passes over the middle. They used Edelman effectively as taking balls in the backfield and running with it. And then all of a sudden in the second half, maybe because they got behind, they panicked a little bit and were going for the longer throws and the longer balls. And then inexplicably, the straw who stirs the drink, Edelman, they just went away from him. You got to keep going what makes you win, and finding Edelman, finding Gronk and not forcing it to him. And I think you're right. I think Dobson's got to play this week. Brandon LaFell just didn't do it, and I don't know if it's him who has to sit, but you got to do the things that make the offense go.
We'll see if the Patriots are able to come away with a little more success in those 3 areas this week against the Vikings, and if they are, then I think they will even up their record at 1-1.